Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to talk about a few additional things about MPV Player that I either forgot to talk about in the last tutorial on MPV Player that I made, or that I found out about later, or just thought about later. So this is going to be just sort of a miscellaneous type of video where I talk about a few things that are not necessarily connected to each other but are all relevant to MPV Player and can be quite useful. So without any further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is the method of installation of MPV Player. Basically, in the last time I talked about installation of MPV was in my Movies to Anki tutorial, and since then I've found out a better way of installing MPV Player on a Mac. So this is going to be just about the Mac, and on Windows the previous method is still good, and for Linux you'll probably use your package manager in your distribution, and that's also all very easy and standard. But for the Mac, I actually now recommend installing MPV Player by using a package manager, kind of the Linux style. And on a Mac, you need to install your package manager first before you can use it. So basically, there's like two most popular package managers that you can use, and those are called MacPorts and Homebrew. And I made a separate video talking about how to install and use those package managers already, and it's going to be up when I upload this video. So you can watch that if you haven't used Homebrew or MacPorts before. And for MPV Player specifically, the best way to install MPV is to use Homebrew, not MacPorts, because on MacPorts there's like not an older version, but a version that doesn't support JavaScript, unfortunately. And so basically the easiest way to install MPV Player on a Mac is by using Homebrew. So in order to do that, so if you don't know how to use that, use Homebrew, watch my tutorial that I made about this. And basically you'll need to use to install a cask from Homebrew, and you do that by running a command brew install --cask mpv, and then you just hit enter and it'll install the mpv application into your Homebrew applications folder. That's going to be a different folder from your like normal applications folder, the main one that you put all your apps into. And I talk about this in my tutorial on Mac package managers as well, so just watch that if you aren't familiar. So basically use Homebrew to install MPV on a Mac. That's much better than using just downloading the thing from the website, because it's easier to update if the new version comes out, and so on. So this is the recommended method from now on. Alright, so that's just a quick note about installation. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is about how to use two subtitles in MPV at the same time, how to show two subtitle tracks. And the way to do this is by using the secondary SID option. So if you search the manual for it, secondary SID, you'll find it really quickly. Here it is. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and yeah, so this is the option you need to use, and you can set it. The configuration for it in your configuration files, and you know, I also recommend reading through this through this bit in the manual, it will give you more information about how this option works, because there's some like caveats here, such as you cannot use bitmap subtitles with it because that will just end up like in overlapping, like your subtitles will overlap if they are not text subtitles, like if they are the type of subtitles that are used on Blu-ray and DVD discs that are just basically images that get overlaid on top of the video, then it's not going to work. They'll just appear in the same place, at the same place on the screen, but for text subtitles it works. So let's see, let me close this, yeah, so the way to configure this is you need to go, let me open up a new tab here for this. Alright, so right now I'm in my MPV directory, and in here we're gonna go ahead and open input.conf file, input.conf, and I'll search for secondary ID. So basically, if you add these two lines, you can obviously choose your own keyboard shortcut, but if you add these two lines, then you'll have the controls for the secondary subtitle. And I just have this free videos folder here that I already used in my previous MPV tutorial. And so I'll just go ahead and open a video in MPV from this folder and show you how this works. So that was, let me just jump to the first subtitle line, and here I pressed Command-Alt-S, and now I have the second subtitle on top. So that's how it works. So I have it set up to Command-Alt-S to go forward, and Shift-Alt-Command-S to go backward. But like there's only two subtitles here, so this doesn't matter here. So this is how you use a secondary SID. So that's that. Someone asked me this question in the comments, so I thought I'd talk about this. Okay, so since the last video, I also changed some of my configurations, and I wanted to talk about a few things that I think might be useful to people who watched my previous tutorial, or just yeah, this is just basically a bit of an improvement on the config that I used in that video. So I changed my, like, the way I set up zooming, panning, and scaling of the video. So basically I had some like a key map in the previous tutorial that wasn't really like it was working, but there were some issues with it, and I just kind of improved it. So I just thought that I'd share this as well. So I basically set up it in such a way that I could use it basically with one hand, so let me just show you the keyboard here, because it's going to be easier to explain this way. So basically, to have my hand like this and have my thumb on the command key, and then I would have basically on the I key would be the center. So if I pan the video somewhere, then I could press Command I to put it in the put it back in the center. And then like the arrows, as you can see on this diagram that I have here in my config, which I'll obviously share and post on GitHub so you can use it and like tweak it or use it as it is. Basically, so like I is the center, and then the arrows are around it. So like UO are like left, right, and 8 and K are up and down. And then like the rest of the keys 7 and 9 and J and L are diagonals. So if you just try it on the keyboard, it's gonna make a lot more sense. And I also created some kind of duplicate keys just to make it a bit easier. So I duplicated the left key and I made it so that I don't have to stretch like don't have to reach quite as far for this U, because like if I just sit here and like it's kind of difficult. I have to lift my hand and reach for it. But if I just use P instead, like for the left, so here it is on the diagram, then I don't have to move my hand, and so my hand just stands in one place. And like for these 7 and 8 and 9 keys, I also like put the duplicates over here on M, comma, and period. So that's how it works. So I just hold the command key and then I use these keys to pan. So let me just open up a video real quick and show you how it works. So let me just jump somewhere where there's more of the image. So like so it'll make more sense if I zoom in a little bit, which I have set up to command equals or like plus, which is also on the equals key. And I can go like this and zoom in and zoom out, and then command 0 resets the zoom. So if I just zoom in and then I can press, for example, O to go right, or like 9, or my like the mirror key, or like the duplicate key, like period, to go diagonally to the top. And to go back to the center, I just press Command I, and then it's back in the center. And like to reset both the oops. So if I just zoom back in and just move somewhere else, like if you get lost with all the zooming and panning, I have Command backspace set to reset both panning and zooming. So there's that. Let's see. Zooming and panning. So these are the keys for zooming, and so I also have this same thing set up so that I can use the same keys on the numpad. So if I want to use like two hands, then I can just hold Command and use my numpad. But if I just want to use one hand, I can do it as well, but by using just this main area of the keyboard. And so let's see. So yeah, this line resets the zooming and panning. So that's just to explain how the config works a little bit. But it's not very complicated. If you read it, it's pretty clear what all of this does, and you can change it the way you want. This is just, I think it's just sometimes things like this can be useful. Like if you have something in the video and you need to see it closer, maybe there's like, I don't know, like some sort of sign that you need to read, and you want to zoom in, but if you don't have this set up, then it becomes a bit of a pain. So this is kind of useful to have. And also there's a few options for scaling the video. So if you have, let me see, so I don't use it all this often, but it can be useful, like to reset the video to the size that it's originally And so like if it's the video that is like really small and you have an HD screen, and if you want to just see the video in its original size, you can use these options. Like video unscaled property has 3 values: downscale big, downscale yes, and no. So if I let's see, I've already forgotten which keys I set it up to because I changed it quite a lot, but Alt Command and yeah, okay. So unscaled yes shows the video in the original size. So this is just the original whatever it is. What is it? 1080p. So it just shows it in the original size. But if it was a really small video, it would just show like a small video in the center, and it'd be all black around it. So there's also been an update to some of the scripts that I talked about in the previous video, and I also wanted to mention this because you need to change some things. So basically, this was about an update of MPV Player itself. So if you when I made that tutorial shortly after things changed, so maybe like if you installed the player before that tutorial was released or right about the time that it was released, then you might have set up these scripts in a different way. But if you have a newer version, then things work a bit differently. So let me show you what I mean. Let's see. So here I have 2 folders open, and these are basically, this is your MPV scripts folder. So this is my actual MPV scripts folder. So this is this location, .config MPV scripts in the user directory. And this is just a backup of this same folder that I have stored elsewhere on my computer. And this is basically how things looked before, and this is how things look now. So you just need to move some files basically in order to make those scripts work again. So let's see. So what you need to do is you need to create 4 folders for these scripts like this: Blackbox, Colorbox, Gallerizer, and Leapfrog. Let me just list the contents of those folders. So this is what I have in those folders, and you also need to rename these scripts to main.js. So you need to create 4 folders and then put each script in the respective folder for it, and rename the script to main.js. And then the second thing that you need to do is you need to basically, you can do 2 things. Like the lazy way would be just to copy this modules.js folder into each of the folders, like into each of these folders, and then rename the folder to modules, and then everything will work. But the better way is actually if I just use the long listing option here and show you what this link points to. I just have this modules.js folder moved elsewhere. So I have it right like in the directory above, just in the MPV directory. So it's if I just change directory there and go pwd, this is just .config/MPV directory. I just stored it there, and I kept the name modules.js, and then in each of these folders, Blackbox, Colorbox, and so on, I created a symlink to that folder. So this means 2 directories down and then modules.js folder. So this way I don't have to have the duplicate files and stuff, and this is just a bit more neat than just copying this folder into each of those individual script folders. So to create a link just change the directory back to scripts. So to create a link, let's see. So like, if you know how to use the terminal, you can like write a short loop and then create it like quicker, but just the simple way is just to go. So let me clear the screen, and so this is what we have in the folder. So I just changed the directory to, for example, Blackbox, and then the command is lns, and then the path to modules.js, and you can use tab to autocomplete to avoid typos, among other things, and just to save yourself time typing. And then that's the path to the link, and then just call it modules. And then if you press enter, that'll create the link. So that's what you can do. So I just put a comment here so that the command doesn't run, because I already have those links in place. But that's what you would need to run in each of these folders. So just change the directory into each one and create a link. Or if that sounds too complicated, you don't want to bother, just copy the folder into each of those folders and you'll be good. So, okay, two more things. In the previous tutorial, I talked about this option. Let me just open up a video and show you again what I mean. This option to save the place where you were in the video. So let's say I finished watching here and I have it set up to Alt-Command-Q, and now I have this like message appearing here saying saving state. So that that just saved the position and basically most of the settings of the player in the exact way that it was, so that when I open the video again, it'll open it in the same place that I finished where I quit. So this option is called quit. What is it? I need to find it again. It's been a while since I configured this. So, oh, come on. Quit watch later. So I have it set up to Alt-Command-Q. And so I just wanted to briefly talk about a bit more about what this option does, and there's also a little tweak that you can make if you find that like more suitable to your needs. So I'm in my MPV folder. Here's the path. And so if I list the contents, in here you'll have this folder called Watch Later, which, if we look inside of it, contains a bunch of files that are named like this. So those are the files that actually store those like saved states of the player. So I'll just change the directory to there, and I also want to I also want to open up the manual. So this section of the manual is relevant for this. So what happens when you quit the player with this option is it calculates a hash of the path to the file. So basically, if you move the file somewhere else, then the hash will be different, and then it won't open in the same place. But as long as the path to the file is the same, then it'll work. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind. So if you don't know what a hash is, don't worry about it. It's just basically a unique way to identify any piece of data. It can be a file, or in this case, it just uses the path and then transforms it into this into the hash, and then when you open it up again, it takes the path and it calculates the hash again, and then it checks whether there is a file with that hash in the watch later folder, and if it is there, then it uses that file. So if we just take a look into one of those files, let me actually use the file that, like, for example, say we quit here, and then I can use LC or LS with the C option, which will sort the files by, like, the newest will be first. The files that were changed most recently will be first, and I also use the head command to just list only the last 10 or the first 10 entries of the list, because we don't need the rest of it. We just actually need the first one. But if I open up this file, like this most recent one, in the text editor, we'll see that it's saved the state of the player. So this is basically the same as hold on a sec, as npv.conf file. So this is just a configuration file. So the options that are saved here work the same as here. And those are also the same options that you can set on the command line. So that's that. And a little tweak that you can make to this is you can set this write file name in watch later config option, and basically it'll add a comment to this file. So if we just go ahead and try this out, I'll just so if you want this to happen, always you can add this to your npv.conf. Like, say, I could add it here like this without the dash and the start, but just like this, and that would always would enable this for all files. But I'll just do this for one file here. So I'll just add this option, and I'll open up the file. So if we were to just go ahead and save it again, then this file would change. So I will load it again, and now we have a comment here. So this way, the file name is also saved in this config file, in this watch later file. But you might want to use this or not. Depends on if you find it more convenient, or you also might want to think about privacy if you want to have the file name saved in such a way on your system. So that's just something that it's a personal preference basically. So I'll actually delete this file because I don't need that. So okay, so that was that. Just a few things that I wanted to say about that option. I thought that it might be useful to know those things. And okay, I said there was two more things. There were actually three things because I skipped one accidentally. So another thing about NPV on a Mac that is good to know is basically when you just install NPV from Homebrew or from the app, just by downloading the app bundle and putting it into your applications folder. When you open the player, you will have lots of shortcuts set in these menus here, and those shortcuts will always override what you set in your own input.conf file, and that can become a bit of a problem, because if you want to use those combinations, then you wouldn't be able to. So Yeah. So in order to fix that, basically I found the method online, and I made a small script to basically disable those keys. And here it is. Here's the script. I'll open it up in Vim, and it's just one command, and this is just how it looks. So if you don't, I mean, this is just one command. There's not really much to understand here. This is macOS's built-in command defaults, and then it changes some values and for those keys. So it basically sets those keys to nothing. And yeah, that's all it does. So if you want to keep some of those keys, you can just delete the line that you don't want, but make sure that well, like, I have these backslashes here, and they're kind of like, if you understand Bash, which is the scripting language that this thing is written in, then you know that what this backslash means. It's just basically to break up a long line and have it just lined up nicely like this. So basically don't have the backslash here at the end. It might mess things up. Like if you delete the last line, like if you don't want this, then also delete the backslash from this line as well. So that's the only thing. But otherwise, just basically delete the lines that you don't want, and this will disable those shortcut keys. So this is what this script does. You'll find the link to it in the description to this video. So that's that. Quite an important thing for Mac users, because I tried, I don't even remember which keys it was, but it's something like Command 1 or Command 2 or Alt 1, Alt 2, something like that. Those keys were reserved, and I couldn't customize them, so this is annoying. So this is the way to disable those. The only thing I kept is just the quit command, this command Q. But otherwise I disabled everything, and I just set everything up in my input.conf file. Okay, so one last thing I wanted to talk about was how you can use multiple configuration files at the same time. And this is actually something that MPV Player by itself does not support, but you can do this on the command line in the terminal. So why this might be useful? So for example, this can be quite relevant for language learning. If you have a file with I don't know, 10 subtitle tracks, and you say you're learning a language from that file, and you want to switch quickly between two of those subtitle tracks without without having to just go through all of them in sequence. And you can't really set that up in your input.conf, because each file is different, right? So that's not going to work, but you still want to keep all of your configurations and use something else. So basically what MPV Player does have, it has this input conf option, which you can set to an input.conf file. So you can see that I have this input.conf file here. But if I just set this like this, input.conf, and I open up a video, yeah, so if I open up a video, then all of my configurations will be gone. So now I'm hitting Z, which is set up to show the playlist usually, but now it changes something else. So my input.conf file wasn't loaded, and only this file was loaded. So in that file, I'll show you what I have there. I have some additional key bindings set up. So I have it set up like this. So keypad 0, I have set up to cycle values of sub, which is just a way to change the subtitle track. And I have it set up to cycle values between 1 and 2. There's only 2 subtitles for that file, but if there's like 10, you obviously will choose the ones that the IDs that you need. And this I have set up to just show quickly which subtitle track is on currently. So I'm not gonna explain how all this works. You can take a look in the manual. Just search for this current tracks sub ID, and you'll find information about that, and also this show text. Just search for things, and all the information is there. So that this line just will just show the current subtitle track, so that I don't have to switch. But I just like which subtitle do I have on right now, and I can just check that really quickly. Obviously, you can use this for a lot of things. You can set up any key combinations like that you want, specifically like for just certain circumstances, but not for other circumstances. And you can just customize everything and have it stored in like individual files. But basically, now here comes the trick. So since you cannot just use it like this, because that way your main config file won't get loaded, you basically need to join those files temporarily and use that. And the way to do that is by using the command line. You'll need bash for this, so your shell needs to be bash. I don't know about other shells, but like right now on a Mac, I'm still on macOS Mojave because I need support for 32-bit apps, and they removed that support from the newer versions of macOS. So if you are on the latest macOS, then your default shell will be Z shell, which is written as ZHSH like this. So Z shell probably has something similar, but basically, let me first show you how to do this in bash. And then I'll explain a bit more about what it does, and then maybe you can find information about how to do this in other shells by just Googling the thing. I'll explain. So first of all, what do we need to do? We need to join those 2 files. So the command to join text files, or like any files actually, together is cat, which stands for concatenate. If you want to learn more about any command, you can open up the manual for it by entering man, for example, cat, and here it says concatenate files and print on the standard output. So we'll use this cat command to join our config files. So the default config file is stored in user directory.config mpv input.conf, and I have another input.conf in my current directory, which is entered you can just put in like this without anything before it, just input.conf. And then if I just press enter, it'll join those 2 files together. So all of this stuff is comes from my main file. So here's the last line: script binding console enable commented out. And here it is. And here are those 2 lines from our input.conf file. So this is what we'll use, just what we'll feed to NPV now. And basically what you need to do is you need to put the whole command, like this whole thing, cat, the default config, then your additional config, put it in brackets and add the less than sign before it. And then you can just feed that into your input.conf option, like this. And now if I open up my video, ada.webm, now it will just feed this entire thing into this input.conf option as if it were a file. So it creates like a temporary file, you could say, and just uses it for this session. So it's not going to be stored anywhere. Once you quit the player, like it's going to go away. Basically, it's not going to store any additional files in your system, but this is just going to be used for this one command. So if I open up the player, I can now use my 0 key to switch between the subtitle tracks, and I can use my numpad delete key, or like the period key on the numpad, to just quickly flash the subtitle track. Those are the keys that I have set up in my input.conf file, which I have in this directory, in my current directory here, input.conf. So this is quite useful if you have like files with subtitle tracks, that like a ton of subtitle tracks, for example, and then you can make it a bit easier for you to work with. So this is kind of like an alternative, you could say, to using 2 subtitle tracks, because like I don't know, I personally I feel like at first when you're learning a language, it seems like a good idea to have 2 subtitle tracks like this, but like if you really think about it, I mean, like if you just try even watching a video like this, like what are you gonna do? Are you gonna watch the video? Are you gonna read the subtitle, the original subtitle, or are you gonna look at the translation to just like kind of compare? What it's like, it's just impossible to do, I personally find. But I don't know, maybe sometimes this can be useful, but like I personally feel if you want to use like this translation subtitle in addition to the main one, then it might be better to do this, to just have this swap, like maybe I don't know like one word, and I wonder what this means in English. Oh, okay, and then I just go back. So this is kind of a better workflow, and it also is more in line with the philosophy of immersion, where you minimize your exposure to other languages, to the languages other than the one that you're learning. So I think this is a better solution, but you could obviously also use the 2 subtitle tracks. I don't know, but I personally never like watched anything like this. Like I tried it, then I just like it doesn't work, and then I just ended up using 1 subtitle. And but like recently I figured out this way, and sometimes it comes in handy. So this is useful, and I wanted to share this with you guys. So this is basically it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been useful, and I hope that my tutorials on MP Player help you in your language learning, or just generally to, I don't know, to have a better media experience, a better experience watching stuff on your computer, and when you can customize things to your preference like that completely, it can be quite nice. So this is basically it for this one. Thanks for watching. Now I also created a Patreon for Linguistic Minds, so you can check out that if you want to support me, and if you like what I do, you can go ahead and join the Patreon page. And the more people join, the more kind of motivation I'll have to make these videos and talk more about various tech solutions that can help you with language learning, and just talk about language learning in general, and talk about language learning resources and other kinds of tools that can help you on this journey. So thanks a lot for watching. Leave a comment to let me know what you think. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you like my content, and I'll see you in the next one.